This was Dr. Can't remember his last name at the moment. I'll remember it because we almost bought his house. I mowed this yard. I got $5 for mowing that yard, or maybe 10. I don't remember. Anyway, I remember I made $9 an hour off of it. It's just one of the yards I mowed. This is the neighborhood that's adjacent to the neighborhood that I grew up in. I can't remember the name right at the moment, but my best friend, one of my best friends, Paul Scheckschneider, lived in this house, and they had a pool room, and he had parties. He was a guy, but he died from cancer not long after college or so. But there are various houses here. This was the Griffin house, as in where Scott Griffin grew up. And my dad and the Griffins owned the property from my dad's house, which is right there, all the way. And then this is a yard where I mowed a tennis court size area, very low, and Scott Griffin's father shows up that night talking about how I'm killing the grass and stuff, and it wasn't even his property. But that house didn't exist when I lived here. But this was the Deskins house, Dr. Deskins. He was a cool dude. He had HO slot cars. We had a track that we were building in his basement, a homemade track with routing the slots and using tape. We built at least four 4x8 tables to hold that slot car track. I didn't mow any of the yards in this neighborhood except for Dr. Brooks' office. And Dr. Brooks and his wife lived originally right across the street from where my parents lived and where I grew up. And they added that part onto it. But that was just a nice little yard. I just drove down, pulled my push mower behind me. I had my technique where I just reached behind and had a handle on the lawnmower, and I could get from point A to point B and not have to have a trailer. And didn't use weed eaters in that day, didn't need to because of the way I cut the yards for one thing. And I cut at one point 22 yards during 1 week in this neighborhood called Lakeview Estates. And this is where the Monroe High School track was. It became the football stadium. The football stadium they used to play over a place called Walter Bickett, which is closer uptown. But this is Lakeview Estates, where I grew up. And I used to actually mow all the way back here for the neighborhood. And one day I mowed over a hole that had yellow jackets in it, and they came flying out, and I went and got gas. We actually had a gas tank right behind the garage. My dad added that building. He added the thing. We said our house was the only one that had a straight roof because it didn't have the front part on the front of the house, and I slept in the far right room. My brother and I shared that room. And this was the Brooks house. I did mow their yard at times. I can't remember all the names. I'm going to see what names I can actually remember. I know I mowed this yard, but not regularly. And that was, I got hit by a golf ball in that yard. A guy hit a golf ball from about there towards that basketball goal, and it hit. I turned my head just at the right time, kind of like Donald Trump did on the shot, and it hit me in the back of the head instead of the temple. They said if it had hit the temple. And this is where the school superintendent lived. I mowed this yard all the time. I mean, that was a weekly yard, and it was a big yard, and I got paid nice. I mean, like in the 70s, like $25, which was nice. And the Talmadges lived here, and I think it's Andy Talmadge because we're friends, but shot a Class D rocket from this yard up and it went about 10 feet over their house. I mean, this was a big 24. I actually still have the rocket. It's in my office upstairs, but right around here, I'm going to identify the house. I had a friend named Billy Udi. He was into heavy metal, and really my first exposure to that kind of stuff. That wasn't his house. His was the next one, but we used to ride skateboards, metal wheeled skateboards, down this hill, and it was either his house. Yeah, that was his house. And this was the Taylors. Dr. Taylor was one of the prominent doctors, and this was a weekly yard for me. Anyway, this area used to be all wide open because there's a guy named his last name was Frank, or his name was Frank Griffin. He developed this neighborhood, and he had a great big house and had a really pretty daughter, and we actually were friends at one point. Beautiful redheaded girl, but there was nothing here, so, and I used his mower. He had a big underslung mower, and I mowed his yard. I didn't always mow the whole thing, but you can see, I mean, his house wasn't huge, but it was a nice yard, and like I said, he developed the neighborhood. I didn't mow it. Some of these houses didn't exist even when I lived here, before I went to college anyway, but right around here there was some fun stuff. And I hadn't been back here in forever because Dr. Brooks moved from across from my parents. He and forget his wife's name at the moment, but he had a couple of daughters. I think one of them had autism. I think she passed away. But this is the house. And Cindy and I, when we were looking to build our house, where we built it, actually considered this house. I think they were asking $250,000 for it, which was not bad. It may have been a little bit more than that, I don't remember, but this goes all the way back to what's called the Lake Lee, and there's the lake, and this kind of got developed later on, and then there's a nice neighborhood on the other side of the lake, but I didn't mow any of the yards back here because, like I said, all of these were pretty much, well, after I had gone to college, and when I went to college I wound up living in Raleigh for 9+ years. This house was owned by the Dillons, I believe, Mary Dillon's parents. She was a beautiful blonde-haired girl. She was one of the it girls, or that may have been their house, I don't know. It was a big house. I just can't remember at the moment without thinking about it. I hadn't been through here in forever, and there's some nice houses back here. I mean, I didn't know that this actually got developed to this level, but it's kind of cool to see it. But I'm gonna head back in because I don't even know how far this goes back in here. It really didn't go very far. I mean, I know it went to the Dillon's house, but I don't remember any of this. And the street I'm coming up to, I don't really know. I think it goes out to the road that goes by Lake Lee, but I'm not going to take it. I'm going to turn back around. Yeah, it's Rosa Drive, but this is actually back to Lakeview. That's where I am. I'm back to Lakeview, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a right here. Lakeview is the main road, of course. And I had a party on my 18th birthday, and there were literally cars all down the street. We picked up liquor bottles for days and beer cans, because I announced the party like 6 months before my birthday. And the night of my birthday, Billy Jack the movie was on TV, and people were laying in the family room watching Billy Jack the movie and drinking and having a good time, and wild things happened. My parents were secluded in the living room, which my dad turned into a bedroom. But this was the hill where we came and brought sleds, and it doesn't look that steep, but with the sleds, and there was a girl that I went to high school with that lived in this house, and she had parties, and there was a big party the night of the big sledding here. I think her name was Dana. I don't remember for sure, but like I said, I haven't been through here in forever. And Pamela Drive, I had friends that lived on Pamela Drive, because Pamela Drive comes up back around up against where my parents' house was. And there was the high school driver's ed teacher lived back here. His name was Mr. Rollins. He was the only house that had a gravel driveway in the whole neighborhood, and people were just like about it, but it's one of these houses here. And this house I mowed, and that yard's steeper than it looks. Around here, maybe Mr. Rollins lived in one of these houses. I can't remember. His daughter was pretty. We were friends. We were kind of like enemies as well. It was kind of funny. And a guy that played guitar lived in this house, and that's where my first exposure to real guitar, was in the basement, I believe, of that house. No, it was actually this house. There's the basement. So that's where my exposure to guitar was. That's when I learned what a whammy bar was. I didn't know how to tune a guitar, but one of the bosses at one of the big companies lived here, and that's my parents' house right on the other side. Bill Jones and I were playing basketball in his driveway, and he jumped to do a layup, and my foot came down on his foot as he jumped, and it broke his ankle. But literally, this is where we were playing golf around this house. This was the Jones house. Bill Jones was my age and a good buddy, and we played 4 holes around it. I mean, you know, we were just chipping stuff. But anyway, Billy Udi was teed up here. I don't know if those trees were there at that point, and he hit the ball, and like I said, somebody said something to my head. I was right by the garage, and I turned my head, and it caused an inward laceration at the back of my skull and knocked me out. I had a concussion. My dad added that building about the time I was coming home in '86. I think he had already done the bottom part of it, but he added the top part so I could work on it. And this is where I had my portion. My brother got a BMW, and I was parked right by the light there, and I was working in the building, and I saw him leave in his BMW, and all of a sudden he stops and starts walking towards the building. He said, "Don, calm down. I bumped your car." He had a little BMW 320 in white. He got after I got my 944 that I ordered from Germany and never saw it until the day it was delivered. And they came out with the 944S while my car was being made, and I couldn't switch from a regular 944 to the 16 valve 944S. I almost got a turbo. Mine was champagne gold. It had black 5-spoke wheels on it. It had a burgundy interior. It was a great car. I still had it when we got married in 1990. But I had actually leased it, and I kept it for like an extra year on the lease. But just it had transmission, or it had a transaxle, and the transaxle had a problem, and it was going to be like $6,000 or more just to fix the transaxle. So I let them have my lease car back. There used to be a drugstore here. I came here as a kid once. We were able to buy milk at school for 5 cents. So I had like $1 with me or some change or something, and I pick up a couple of chocolate, pint chocolate milks, and I go up to the counter, and the guy says it's like $2 or something. And I freaked. I'm like, it's only 5 cents. And that was my not knowing the world because of being isolated in school as a kid. And this is all the Monroe Hospital complex. Spent many weeks in here in 2021, 6 weeks in 2021, and in 2020 I think all my time was spent in Novant Matthews and Novant Rowan, which is a big story. My neurologist Stacy, that did a 48-hour EEG on me, was in that office, and what she found was that I only got 5% REM sleep, and she had me taking a anti-seizure drug called Gabatril. And then when I got sick, because the doctors, she had left and they didn't have the documentation of why I was getting Gabatril, and I was getting it off label or off whatever they call it, and so the doctors wouldn't give it to me. I finally wound up getting a different drug called Trazodone, which helps me sleep. But the thing is when you only get 5% REM sleep, you don't have any energy, and it was causing me to have migraines and stuff. When Dr. Phelps started me on prednisone in around 2006 or 2008, about the time he started me on Remicade, all of a sudden my migraines stopped. Because when I was seeing Stacy, I had a migraine that literally lasted 10 days, and it was miserable. Something was going on with the Speedway. I didn't know Humpy Wheeler at that point when I had the thing, but I was doing Club 40 at the house, and I guess I was dealing with, I went to all the clubs. I traveled around to the clubs with my trailer, my 13x6x6 Vinos, the largest thing I could get in my garage. Called it the mobile hobby shop, but I also had my Club 40 planes, and I usually took 3 to 4 Club 40 planes and let other people fly them. And I had my pylons in the trailer, and I gave pylons to quite a few clubs, and what a lot of them did, Charlotte Aero Modelers in particular, used the poles for pattern contest as the markers for the box. I don't know, I never got into pattern, and I don't remember, but anyway, they used my big portable pylons for that, and I also had given them a set of the ultra portable pylons, and I gave Huntersville a set of ultra portable pylons, and that's how I got pylon going in this area. And then I met Humpy Wheeler in 2007, and the events had gotten too big for my house, and he let me run the races in what was called the Peninsula parking lot at it was officially called Lowe's Motor Speedway at that point, but it's Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's usually been that except for when it was sponsored by Lowe's. I ran races in 2008 and 2009, did Club 40, Quickie 25, and 424 the first year, but we figured out that for the space we were using, 424 was just too fast, so I only ran Club 40 and Quickie 25. Mike Langwall, I built quite a few LA Racer 40s and Sky Raiders for him. I have pictures of him. He liked white, orange, and blue, and I think I did some in yellow, and once I did one for him, and he was literally in his first heat, and somebody T-boned him. Well, I let him use one of my airplanes to finish the race. But that's how Mike Langwall got hooked on pylon racing. And he credited me after I ran races in 2008 and 2009. Is when he created the first OJA, and originally it was all grass, and he added, I think, a 50 by 50 asphalt takeoff pad, but he could turn the course both ways. And something happened where somebody wanted that property, and he wound up trading his property for the property where Old Julian wound up with the fully paved runway. I don't know that, I can't remember that he had a fully paved runway. Monterey used to be across the street in this building, and it was packed, but that's a really good place to eat. I probably should go there for dinner. As a matter of fact, I was going to go to Captain D's, and I just changed my mind. I'm going to Monterey for dinner. So I've got to get turned around. People are rude through here. Whatever. I wasn't in your way. That's just how people are. Popeye's closed. It was only here for a year or so, but everything, the thing is, it was more expensive than a lot of things. I was going to go to Captain D's because they have a seniors thing. As a matter of fact, that was my plan. Instead, I can go to Monterey anytime, but I'm going to see what senior dinner is and just see if I'm still recording. I am. Now, of course, that Wow Supermarket's cool because that's a really nice Mexican supermarket. And the day I busted my leg at the dump, and I went to Charlotte Air Modelers, I actually think I came to Wow with my leg all wrapped up and bought some Mexican stuff that I was wanting. I've been going to a Mexican restaurant over on South Boulevard, which is a long ways, but there's some stuff I do over on South Boulevard. I've bought a couple of guitars at a couple of pawn shops that I could get at really good deals. As a matter of fact, I have one right now. I have a 7-string Ibanez on layaway, which is no interest, and I got it at a super price. So I mean, I could pay it off and get it, but the thing is, it's 0 interest right now. With my back, I can't really play. Well, I'm actually going to start playing more because I'm working on some guitars for people, and my fingers have no calluses because I haven't been playing at all. And I'm going to make recordings. I'm also going to work on my SG and create the Batwing pick guard, because there's not one I have been able to find to buy that's like the one that was on Angus Young's SG. It looks like I gotta drive around the park. I could park in handicap, but I probably should, but I'm not. So I have $5.99 meal deals. That's not bad. $5.99. I can't even eat at home for $5.99. Of course, I'm going to get a drink, but I think I'm going to keep my headset on and just do a little eating and a little talking and just maybe reminisce a little bit. And I am seriously thinking about, no, I'm not going to do handicap. I'm just going to park right here. It's not that far. I might have a little trouble getting up the hill. We'll see. And what I do now, I always carry my laptop bag because it's convenient for carrying meds and phones and whatever. And what I do is just kind of drop a box and hide it, and nobody can see it. And with this crappy looking car, I don't have to worry about anybody breaking in. It's called flying under the radar. Maybe I fly a little bit too much under the radar, I don't know. But you can see I have 4 cables, 2 USB-Cs and 2 Lightnings. I don't typically keep micro USB anymore, but this has only got 2 out. But I should get an expander so I can have more, because occasionally I need more than 4 cables. Just thinking about things and talking, and like I said, going in and having a little fish instead of spending $50 on the Aga chili shrimp at Monterey. I'll see how cheap I can eat tonight. I'm not very hungry, but I do need to eat. So anyway, there's a car wash over there. That's been there forever. And Hallway's Music was right up around the corner after they moved. But like I said, you can see that Popeyes is closed. And I'm surprised they haven't reopened it, because they didn't do anything to the exterior. And Popeyes has gained in popularity, and I really don't understand why Popeyes is not. Here's one thing I want to do. I don't understand why Popeyes is not reopening that store. Must have to do with the lease or something like that. If you know about restaurants, you know that very few of them actually own their properties, and leases become a big part of whether or not the business actually stays and comes back. Usually they never come back, because of a situation with the leasee or lessor, they don't renegotiate. Captain D's never ran my software. I mean, it's semi sit-down restaurant. My software, originally we did it to run all kinds of restaurants, but then added a whole lot of features that were specific to fast food. And I've explained, I'm going to diagram some of the stuff I did in that application just to show, because I can remember the documentation I did for that app. I designed the whole thing, the kitchen video and everything. I can explain exactly how the kitchen video system worked. As a matter of fact, in 2022, I went in Jack in the Box, and Jack in the Box was still using the system, and because the kitchen video was what I designed. Mike Hoyes actually did the development, but I directed him on how to use windows, separate windows in the application, the component that drove the hardware. So we had windows that you could see in the back office of what was actually on those kitchen video systems. And I designed the keypad and how all that worked and how the software worked. I designed everything in that system, including how when we started doing readers for supermarkets and the gas pump interface, there was a girl that did the gas pump interface, and Walt Daniels was always bothering her about the gas, but she also worked on the McDonald's membrane touchscreen thing, because my app was graphical, and what we had to do was effectively fake having the touch screen, and it communicated with those hard membrane terminals that McDonald's was using. All right, I should go home, but there's some things I want to take care of. I should take my iPad in, but I don't really need it. So let's see. I don't want to take all that in. I'm just going to eat and get home. I'm not using the walker, and I am parked a little far back, but my judgment wasn't too good. There's plenty of room for a walk here. I didn't want to interfere with people being able to walk up here. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. And I don't remember where the actual entrance is. I know, yeah, it's around here. Wrong door. There occasionally were big lines here. Cindy and I and Matt ate here. Some. Cindy made me take her out to eat at least 2 or 3 times a week.
246.
She was obsessed with food.
248.
Huh.
246, 248.
What is the? Do you have to be 65? I am 65. And it says Senior Appreciation Day. I assume that I qualify. I mean, I'm handicapped and 65. So, but what is the Senior Seafood Dinner? What's on that? I mean, I see the 2-piece batter dipped fish that I could do in country style, and I'll either do that depending on what the Senior Seafood Dinner is.
It's 1 piece of battered fish, 1 stuffed crab, I think 3.
Wait a minute, did you say crab?
It's 1 stuffed crab and 3 shrimp.
A stuffed crab? I'll do the senior thing, man.
Is it for here today?
For here.
You know what I mean?
I haven't eaten here in probably 10 years.
Senior seafood dinner?
Yeah.
Senior seafood dinner? Would you like fries and slaw with that?
Is there an option besides fries? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's something I used to go for. It's the breaded okra. I want the breaded okra and the coleslaw.
With coleslaw and okra? Alright, would you like to add 5 butterfly shrimp today for $1.99 or anything else?
Add what?
The 5 shrimp for $1.99.
5 for $1.99? Yeah, I'll do that.
5 shrimp. Alright, what I feel?
And you have Pepsi products, and you don't have Pepsi Zero. You only have Diet. Is that the only thing you have in Diet? I'm diabetic. I'll do do you get refills on those? Whatever size for a Pepsi Diet.
Pepsi. Alright.
I don't drink that much, though.
You have a senior seafood dinner with coleslaw, okra, 5 shrimp, and a senior diet Pepsi. It's going to be $11.39.
I almost went to Monterey for aga chili, the shrimp that's like cooked in the lime juice. But when I do that, it winds up being like $50. And seeing Senior Appreciation Day, I had to go to the hospital area. I was like, oh, sorry. I don't remember. I have to come back and pick it up, right? Y'all don't bring it out. Huh? You do bring it to you? Do I need a card or a number or anything? Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, does that come with tartar sauce and cocktail sauce? Oh, that's right. I forgot about. Oh, you do malt vinegar? I don't need malt vinegar. I didn't get fries, so.
$2.50.
Actually, I do need malt vinegar. You have the packs over there? Oh, okay. Cool. Mm. Look, there's extra.